Welcome this morning to the 2013 Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Before we get started and stuff like that, I'd like to just give a great round of applause to the Rialto High School band under the direction of Mr. Trujillo. They've done a great job. Give them a round of applause. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Rialto Police Explorers, who are going to present our colors for the presentations of our flag, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to first recognize who's here representing the Rialto City Council, really the gentleman who the vision and planted the seed for the inception of the Rialto Sports Hall of Fame as you see it today, and you can see after so many years of his vision of how we see this should happen. So I'd like to just introduce as he sits there, Councilman Joe Baca Jr. Joe, please stand. Thank you very much.
I want to talk a little bit about the history of the Hall of Fame. The first Hall of Fame, Rialto Hall of Fame, was in the year 2007. And the vision came because I think it's important that we recognize good athletes, great athletes from the city of Rialto. Over the years, we've had a lot of people that have done good things, have gone on and had great accomplishments. I think it was important that we recognize those people. And if you can see on the wall, we've recognized a lot of people to this point. The first Hall of Fame was in 2007. And in that first class was Jeff Conine, Miami Marlin player, Florida Marlin player, I guess at the time, Brandy Burton, Hall of Famer, Coach Hope from Rialto or Eisenhower High School, and also we had many other people that we've inducted since then. But it's a great time to honor these people because I'm real proud of Rialto, and I've lived in this community since I was 5 years old, and I think it's important that we continue to show not only the community that we're proud, but all the other kids coming up that we're proud of all of our athletes and student athletes that have come to this community. But the first person I'd like to acknowledge, just someone who's here, a very special person to me, I'd like to introduce my parents because my parents have been really supportive of me and I really appreciate everything they do. I'd like to acknowledge my father, Congressman Joe Baca. And my mother, Barbara Baca. And the two people that give me a lot of support, and that's my wife, Jennifer Baca, and my youngest daughter, Jocelyn Baca. Well, the first honoree for the Rialto Sports Hall of Fame is the 1996 CIF baseball champs. And let me talk a little bit about being a CIF championship. One thing that's really special about being a CIF championship, only one team gets to be the winner. And it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment, and a lot of time on behalf of the coaches, players, staff, being student athletes. And one of the things that I've heard before is student athletes have the toughest job. Going to school is easy, but when you have to go to school and play sports and practice and commit, it's really a big deal. And I'm real proud of this group because one, I teach at Rialto High School. My daughter graduated from Rialto High School. My sister graduated from Rialto High School, and I coach there now. But the first group that I want to introduce, and they did an outstanding job, and I want him and actually all of his players to come up and share their story about Rialto High School. But the first inductee for the Rialto Hall of Fame 2013, the 1996 CIF baseball champs, let's give it up for Coach Scott Russell.
Well, we're happy to be here, and we want to thank Joe Baca and the city of Rialto for honoring us. I want to congratulate Alex, who I don't know personally, but I've read a lot in the paper, and Sean Marshall. I know Teddy Kranopoulos. I almost ended his career in soccer. He played for me in 9th grade at Rialto Junior High, and it was his first year playing, and he was good, but at the end of the year, he could have been a great baseball player. And I said, Teddy, you need to play baseball. You know, forget the soccer, you need to play baseball. But I'm glad, Teddy, you didn't listen to me. He went on to become a professional soccer player. You know, it always amazes me in the city of Rialto how many great athletes and that go on to play professional careers is just astounding to me. But at this time, I want to recognize this group of guys here. Again, I'm going to have my coaches stand up. You know, you can't have a good team if you don't surround yourself with good people. And I had some of the best coaches. Most of them played high school, college, and it wasn't the knowledge they knew, it was that they knew how to impart it to the kids. So could you guys stand, please? I got John Jackson here, probably the best pitching coach I've ever been around. Gary Hansen, who worked with our pitchers. Roosevelt Lett, worked with our hitters, Gary Burris, and then Billy O'Rourke. We couldn't ask for a final group of coaches than I had right here. Next group, if I can remember them, I haven't seen them in 17 years, but I want to introduce them. So the guys stand up. Forrest Johnson, Anthony Ramos, Hank Martinez, Eddie Corona, Philip Rodriguez, back here Leonard Magnolino, Apple Medueno, Edwin Casada, Peter Jimenez, and Gilbert Polito. So they were the guys that really made it happen. And just to share briefly with you, the year before this, we went to Anaheim Stadium and got beat in the finals of CIF. And a lot of people the next year didn't think we'd do much because we lost 10 kids off that senior team. But they didn't realize that our senior class was the first class that had been through our program for 4 years. So they knew what we expected of them. They knew our system. And they knew how to play by that time. And so that was what other people didn't know, because we were picked to finish 4th or 5th in league. You know, every good team, there's probably about 5 characteristics you look for, and these guys have it all. The first one was team chemistry. You know, you had to have a bunch of guys that got along. These kids knew each other when they came into Rialto High School. They loved one another, they trusted one another, they expected the best of one another. So that was one thing that they had going for them. The other thing, if you don't have good senior leadership, you have no chance of winning. We had the seniors that knew what they wanted out of that year. They had tasted what it meant to be playing big games and get to the final and come up short, and they weren't going to let that happen again. And they led by example, and they made the other kids get on the same page. The next one was a passion for excellence. These guys wanted to be the best team on their schedule. Every day they gave 100%. There was only one speed for these guys. There was no practice speed. There was a game speed. They gave 100%. Each day and every day they wouldn't accept a subpar effort. Another one was a fierce desire to compete. You can't win if you got guys that'll give up, you know, real easily. And these guys all had that fierce competitiveness. We had a saying 5, 6, 7. You know, we'd step it up in those innings. If we were tied or close to the lead, we were going to win that game, and no one's going to keep us from us. When they stepped on the field, you know, they were gentlemen off the field, but when they stepped on the field, their demeanor changed. They had a whole different personality about them, and I think they expected to win. They deserved to win for the time they spent. And the last one was they got to have that mental toughness that you don't give in when the going gets tough. And I want to share a story that they'll remember, and I remembered that for batter for probably 6, 7 years after. We were playing a team from Santa Maria. St. Joseph came down second round of the playoffs, and the night before I called Gary Burris. He went to scout him, and he said, the first thing he said, "Coach, you have no chance." You know, he said, "Well, that makes me feel good," you know. And so I was thinking after the game, you know, I'd start preparing for the summer and next year collect the uniforms. Because they were a really good team. And he said, if you played them at their place, you know, you'd lose all 10 times. He said, you play them at your place, you may win 2 out of 10. So at least we had a chance because we had them at home. But the score was 2-1 going into the 6th inning. In the 7th inning, they scored 4 more, so it became 6-1. You know, it looked like the game was pretty much over. But we still had 3 outs to go. But then it got to be 6-1. There was 2 outs, nobody on. I said, you know, I'm starting to think, you know, it's over. You know, it's good. I'll look forward to my summer. You know, it's fine. But then all of a sudden, things started to happen. You know, base hits, errors, stolen bases, wild pitches. And it was amazing that we came back with 2 outs, nobody on, win that game 7-6, and go on to win the CIF championship. It's incredible. You know, I'd never seen anything like that before. And the last thing, I'd be remiss if I didn't, you know, thank God for everything that went on. You know, I have a strong faith in God, and I lean on Him heavily during my days. And during that season, you know, there was a verse in the Bible, pray without ceasing. I prayed through all those games. I prayed so hard because I'm an intense guy, and when the pressure gets on, boy, I get really nervous. So I needed His peace, and at that time, He'd give it to me. And this may seem funny to a lot of you guys, but in third base coaching box, you know, there's certain times in the game that if you don't make the right decision, you know, it's going to cost you the game. And in those times, I would pray, you know, should I squeeze now? Should I hit and run? Should I bunt? You know, what should I do here? And I'd pray, and I'd get a piece about it. Boy, I'd call that, and it'd work. You know, I know that sounds funny, but that's my faith. That's what I believe in. And the other thing these guys don't know is how this season was coded in prayer. We prayed, my wife and I prayed for these guys constantly, you know, that they'd learn what hard work meant, and the good results they could get out of it. They'd stay free from injury. They'd learn how to play the game the way it's supposed to be played. We'd pray that they'd grow up to be, you know, fine young men, fine husbands, and fathers. And most of all, we pray that they'd learn to follow God and, you know, learn what you can have the peace and comfort of His grace, and that they learn to come to know His Son, Jesus Christ, personally, and that's what we always pray for them. I want to pass it on to these guys. 4 of these guys were all CIF. 6 of these guys played in college. Leonard Magalino was a player of the year. You know, it's a special group of guys that I'll always remember, and I just thank you guys for everything you did that year. So come on up.
We can start with the coaches. We can have the coaches start first, and we'll have each player, no particular order, but you know, just if you can come up and share with this group a special moment about that year, something you remember. And just listening to Coach Russell reminds me of me as I coach. He remembers every pitch, every out, and I tell the girls, you know, I remember when it's 3-2 wild pitch, we lose the ball game. They go, how do you remember that, Coach? One thing's about Coach, you remember every play, and I think it's special what Coach Russell does for these kids, and I appreciate what he does, and he's also in the Rialto Hall of Fame. Let's get up for Coach Russell, Hall of Famer Rialto. And you know what, if we could just get all the coaches and players to come stand up here, no particular order, everyone come up and share your special moment about that year and what you remember about that team.
Hi, I'm Coach Jackson. I was the pitching coach. I have 2 things I'd like to share with you just to show you the guts that these kids had. That game that Russell alluded to where we were down 6-1, there was no balls, 2 strikes on our hitter. Nobody on base, and we're down 6-1. I looked right at their first baseman, and he's jumping for joy, and he's turning around, and he's like, yeah! We got this thing. And I looked him straight in the eye, and I said, son, what would you say if I told you we're going to win the game right now, and you're not going to come up to bat? And he turns, he looks out at the scoreboard, and he goes, I don't know, Coach. I think that's a long way to go. All of a sudden, it's 6-5, and we got runners on base, and I know we get a hit here. It's at least a tie. He's looking over at me like, yeah! And I'm just smiling, and we ended up pulling it up. Well, then we had to go and play a team that was ranked number 1 in the state, Calabasas. These guys were they were dynamite. We get into a game where we're up 1-0, and their number 2, 3, and 4 hitters are all hitting over 500. And my pitcher, Leonard, who was the player of the year, he's throwing, and it was funny because I thought, uh-oh, we're getting in trouble here. We're up 1-0, and they got runners on first and second base, and we got nobody out. I want to just show you the kind of character this kid had. So I call timeout, and I'm going to go out, and we're going to talk. I got my bullpen going. They're getting ready. And he's looking at me like, what are you doing? And so I walk out, and I said, how we doing? He goes, well, I'm doing fine, but I can't pitch if you're out here. I said, well, we need to talk about a few things. He goes, no, how about you just go back, sit down on the bench, and let me get this, okay? And tell Dennis to sit down because he's not coming in. They're not scoring. Don't worry about it, Coach. He shuts him down that inning and goes on to shut him down for the entire game. But that's the kind of guts that these guys have. They don't quit. Thank you.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is. I'm Coach Rose, and I just want to thank these guys for putting up with me. Because through that hard work and determination and the things that we applied upon them, the military has nothing for what we put these kids through. I mean, these guys here, they really stepped up to the plate. They were determined ball players, and also I want to thank the parents also because we took your kids at least for 4 hours a day from you, and we became fathers to them and mentors and developers of men, and hopefully that they continue on with that dream and that vision, and that it'll just begin to just partake inside of your families as well. So right now, I would like to turn it over to the other coaches and the other ball players. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Forrest. I don't got really a particular moment that I want to share. It's more of what these coaches meant to us. You know, they dedicated a lot of time. They sacrificed time with their families to be with us. And I think that's the one thing that I remember and I appreciate the most is, here these guys could be with their families, school's out, it's a Saturday. Instead, they were there with us 6 days a week, pretty much year round. And I just want to just take a moment out to say thank you to you guys, and we couldn't have done it without you guys. Thanks, coaches.
Wow, that's tough. Hey, it's really hard to think of so many memories that we have. It's been an outstanding 4 years that I was there. I had the privilege to work under awesome coaches. Growing up, it's always tough. You work so hard in your life, and to have people in your life who are so full of faith, and that's one thing I've always been thankful for, because my family's been full of faith. I've been raised in the church to praise God, and God's always put people of faith in my life. He's always surrounded me with people of faith in my life, and I've really appreciated that. I get very emotional when I talk about people I love, because I love all of them. One thing I was raised on was family, and they are my extended family. They always will be. Sports has always been an outlet for me, motivation to keep me straight in my life, to be successful, to be a good father, good husband. But I really am thankful for all of you. I love all of you. And thank you very much for this honor. I appreciate it.
I kind of have a little prepared statement here on behalf of the rest of the team. First, we want to start off by thanking God and thanking our parents for allowing us to dedicate a lot of our time and efforts to playing baseball. As some of my team players have said before me, if it wasn't for our parents, none of it would have been possible. So thank you. And I also wanted to have a special message to not only the coaches up here, but also the coaches that are sitting in the stands that really helped us to learn baseball from the time that we were little leaguers. Thank you for changing our life. The wisdom, the confidence, and the heart you showed while leading our team has been an inspiration to us, not only on the field, but also off the field. I remember in ninth grade playing baseball, we knew right off the bat that this wasn't going to be just another baseball team. Coach Russell and the coaching staff set a very, very high expectation, and that expectation was carried through not only during practice, not only carried over through games, but it carried over into the classroom and into an outlook on life. I think Coach Russell spoke to it earlier that there wasn't a practice speed, there was just a game speed. The idea was clear in my mind from the beginning that you expected excellence, not only in the field, but in all areas of our life. You constantly reminded us, Coach Russell, with positive and motivating quotes on the locker room walls. We had t-shirts that our purpose was greater than the game. And that's something that I carry today, and I know when I speak for the rest of the team that a lot of us carry it as well. One of my favorite quotes that we had on the wall was that true character is true character is revealed when you do the right thing, even though no one is watching. That's something that I strive for, to have high character, not only for the representation of Rialto High School, but the representation of who I am as a person. So thank you, Coach Russell. Thank you to the rest of the coaching staff. Thank you for the coaches in the stands that helped us achieve what we achieved. Your influence on our life, as well as the rest of us on the team, has been immeasurable. The breadth of skills and lessons you have taught will be amplified for our lifetime. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Sir Rialto for having us here today. To Mr. Joe Baca Jr., we've been able to kind of get to know each other a little bit. Sean, Alex, congratulations on your induction. But pretty much I just want to piggyback on what everyone's already said. I remember talking to the guys out there, and just kind of wondering what are we getting ourselves into, because it really was that. You know, you had Coach Russell sprinting everywhere, and we're like, what the heck's going on? You know, he's running everywhere. Then you had Coach Roosevelt. Roosevelt led, yelling at people, and nobody wanted to go out there, nobody wanted to be in a group. Then you had the one weird pitching coach, Coach JJ, Coach Jackson, and nobody knows what he was going on and wondering what he was thinking. But between all three of them and the other coaches, they really did teach us more about life than it was about baseball. They really did teach us how to be good, productive young men, productive members in society, and just lifelong lessons. And I just want them to know that it meant a lot to us. Thank you guys. Everything that you taught us, I guarantee you, we're teaching not only to our players, but also our sons and daughters, because you guys were a great influence in our lives. So thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations.
Any coaches? Any other coaches? No? Okay.
I appreciate those words of wisdom and inspiration by the coaches and players. I was listening to one coach when he says these guys got guts. I says they're not that old, still young men. But no, we're real proud of the Rialto High School baseball team. I just want to read the inscription because they will have a plaque that will be placed up here. And I want to read the inscription that's going to be on there. The 1996 Rialto High School baseball team shut out Fontana Miller 6-0 to win the Division IV championship. It was the first CIF championship in the history of the Rialto High School. And in the back row was Kevin Lewan, Andrew Gray, Forrest Johnson, Abdul Wahib, and Eddie Luna. Third row, Coach Russell, Javier Beloa, Leonard Magdaleno, Coach Lett, Scott Fisher, Aaron Alvarado, Pete Jimenez, and Coach Jackson. Second row, William Lewis, Eddie Turner, Gilbert Polito, Apple Madrieno, Anthony Ramos, Hank Martinez, and Steve Ressa. And front row, Edwin Quinzada, Eddie Corona, Freddie Carrion, and Sal Garcia. Never underestimate the heart of a champion. Round of applause for the CIF champions of 1996, Rialto High School. Okay, the second honoree, Alex Acker, professional basketball player, and his parents, Luther and Helen, are here to accept on his behalf. And for those of you who don't know, we actually had honored him in 2005. He was drafted by the Detroit Pistons, and I think it's important for the younger kids in Rialto to see that you can do it too. If you work hard and commit yourself, that great things can happen. But, you know, it was a pleasure. I got a chance to watch a lot of Eisenhower High School basketball games. And I was real proud to watch Alex and how well he did. He was a very impressive ball player on the basketball court. But let me read a little bit about him and what's going to go on his plaque. Alexander Acker moved to Eisenhower High School in Rialto after spending his freshman and sophomore years in Cajon High School in San Bernardino. Alex's most memorable game was against Oxnard in the Division I AAA quarterfinal, where he scored 12 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter and helped his team advance to the semifinals. One of Alex's most important achievements was being a nominee as a McDonald's All-American team. He was offered a full-ride scholarship at Pepperdine University in Malibu, and after 4 successful years as a member of the basketball team, he was drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 2005 as the 60th pick in the second round. He is currently playing basketball overseas in France, so still currently playing professional baseball. Let's give a round of applause for our next honoree, Alex Acker, Rialto Sports Hall of Fame. We can have his parents come up.
First of all, giving honor to God and to the other inductees. Our family is very humbled in accepting this award of inducting Alexander Acker into the Rialto Hall of Fame. Alex would have loved to be here today. However, he's in France playing basketball with his lovely wife, Nazarena. We would like to thank the Carl Johnson Center, which is where Alexander got his start playing basketball, Eisenhower High School, for his great education, which helped him graduate from Pepperdine University as a junior. Thank you, and God bless.
I also would like to thank everyone here for this opportunity. Coach Johnson, who was a mentor with our son, and the success with the program here at Eisenhower. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out, and the other inductees. I want the young people, like Coach said, to remember it's a hard job. Everybody just sees the camera, and they think that's the only part of the game. But that practice and the work that the coaches put in, and the diligence of the players, and the understanding, it leads to this. It's just God's gift, and we appreciate each and every day that we're blessed to be here, and we love Rialto as well. So God bless you and have a great day.
Thank you, Luther and Helen. And one of the things you can tell that it's good family values that they have, and mom and dad did a fine job raising an outstanding student athlete. As you can see, graduated from Pepperdine in 3 years. 3 years, that's outstanding. Very proud for Rialto kids. I mean, we can talk about the professional things that they did, but actually went to school. We have to keep reminding our kids today, because some kids sometimes don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I think there's a lot of light in their family, and they have Lord in their lives, so congratulations. Round of applause, come on, give it up. The next honoree is actually our first soccer honoree, and I think that's the first of many to come. For those of you who don't know, in the city of Rialto, for many years, it was primarily a baseball, basketball, and football sport, and recently soccer has really grown in this region and in Rialto, and I think we're gonna have many more Hall of Famers for soccer. But our first soccer nominee is Teddy Kranopoulos, and let me read a little bit about what's gonna go on his plaque. Teddy Kranopoulos grew up in Southern California, graduated from Eisenhower High School in 1996. After playing college soccer at Cal State San Bernardino and San Diego State, he moved to Greece to play for Panayonis FC. Chronopolous returned to the United States after being selected in the Major League Soccer inaugural player draft. So this was the first draft that they ever had by the New England Revolution, where he was named to 2 MLS All-Star teams. Chronopolous retired in 2005 and returned to Southern California roots to develop U.S. soccer, next generation of soccer athletes. He was named the U.S. Soccer Development Academy Southern Conference Coach of the Year in 2007 and Cal Southern's Younger Division Coach of the Year in 2011. The next nominee for the Rialto Sports Hall of Fame, soccer legend Teddy Kranopoulos.
Wow, I guess I'll talk about myself, but I'm not very good at that. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Baca. I want to thank the City of Rialto Recreation Center, Alejandra, for putting on this event. First and foremost, I want to thank my parents, because like everyone said here, without your parents, you're nothing. They supported me throughout as a kid, at college, high school, professional. Couple little stories I'll tell really quick. When I first wanted to be a pro soccer player, my dad was like, well, you gotta finish high school, you're gonna go to college. I'm like, Dad, I don't wanna go, I wanna play soccer, I wanna be a professional soccer player. So he's like, okay, well, you gotta go 2 years of college, and then at least we'll go try. I'll take you to Greece and we'll try out. I said, okay, no problem. I go there, end up coming back because my mother said, you need to leave because there was some war conflicts going on with Greece and Bosnia. She's like, my son's not going to war, you gotta come back. So I ended up going back, stayed for a couple months, and before you knew it, I was right back at it again, because my dream was always to play, work hard at it, make sure that no one was gonna take my dream away from me. And my dream was always to be a pro soccer player. So I ended up going back to Greece, ended up making a career out of it, played about 13 years professionally, and never looked back since. So that's one of my stories, is never give up to whatever you believe in. Don't let anyone else tell you anything differently. Always pursue your dreams and your ambitions. The last one is kind of a funny story. Sitting at home with my girlfriend up here, Mackenzie. We're sitting at home and we're on the internet, and we're reading something and it says, oh, find out your peak performance as far as your athleticism if you're an athlete, and find out if you can still play. So we sit there, we put all the information in. It tells you to put in your age, it tells you to put in your waist size, it tells you to put in your height, it tells you everything, and then it calculates, you know, your age of what you could possibly play right now. And it said 26, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is great. I'm gonna go outside, I'm 26, I can still play, I'm gonna go be a pro again. Go outside for about a mile or two, and I'm like, no, honey, this ain't gonna work. It's like, the mind's telling me yes, but the body is telling me no. There's no way to do it. So anyways, that's my stories. Again, congratulations to all the inductees on both sides. Really quick, Coach Russell. Coach Russell was not only a coach, he was a teacher. I only had Coach Russell for 1 year at Rialto High School, and I played 1 year in 9th grade. And he always taught me, not only as a good baseball coach and a good teacher, but he always taught me values and the core values of life and how to be a better person, you know, moving forward. Because at the end of the day, you're not always going to be a pro for the rest of your life. So again, thank you, Coach Russell, for that. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause. Teddy Kranopoulos, Rialto Hall of Famer, 2013. And a lot of people up here have a lot of nice things to say about Coach Russell. And just on a personal note, I didn't know how to run a practice as a coach, and I learned a lot from Coach Russell. He's very organized, meticulous practice. Everything's time-oriented, and you know, does a great job. So I learned a lot from Coach Russell myself, and how to be a good coach. So thank you, Coach Russell, for your influence on a lot of people in their lives. And the last Hall of Famer, and one of the good things about this, he actually had a chance to play with Alex Acker, and his name is Sean Marshall. Give it up for Sean Marshall, Hall of Famer. I'm going to read what's on his inscription. In September of 1999, Sean Marshall attended Eisenhower High School, tried out for the basketball team, and was the first ever to make varsity team as a freshman. And Sean had several accomplishments playing basketball during his high school year, but not limited to CBL, Citrus Belt League Player of the Year, 2 times John Wooden Award, and Inland Empire Player of the Year, and many more accolades he had. He signed early with Boston College during his junior year. Sean started and played in every game of the 4 years he attended Boston College. He is presently playing European basketball in the country of Turkey. And we have his parents here, I believe it's brothers, Tyrone and Adrian, to accept. Let's give a round of applause for Tyrone and Adrian accepting on behalf of Sean Marshall.
All right. For one, we want to thank the city for putting this on. Secondly, we'd like to thank or congratulate all the inductees. Usually a little sports war between Eisenhower and Rialto. Usually talk a little mess, but since they're filling out about 20 seats, I'll hold off this time. FaceTime my brother this morning, and he's just so happy and honored to be inducted. He's currently playing in Turkey right now and is off to the best start of his career. He's currently the leading scorer in Turkey, averaging 22 points a game. So very happy for him. But as much as today is about him and you know, all his personal success with sports, half of it is that. The other half would be you know, all the people that helped him get there, from the coaching staff at Eisenhower to Keith, Howard, and Julius Patterson, our IVP basketball coach. But most of all, it's my parents. You know, working in the hospital like my mom did, and you know, my dad working long hours. Somebody had to take us all to practice, and you know, their hours became 12 or 13 or 14-hour work days, from the 10 hours that they were working, you know, to the 3 or 4 hours that they were doing stuff with us, and you know, it just built all of our character, and helped him accomplish everything that he's accomplishing. So, you know, want to congratulate my brother, but also thank my parents for everything they've done. And you know, I'm sure that don't know everybody here, but I'm sure everybody had you know, that good parents' guidance to, you know, get to where they are now.
thank you and appreciate it. Thanks, Sid.
I'm going to be pretty brief. I just want to thank everybody that came, and congratulations to everybody that made it to the Hall of Fame. Thank you for the city of Rialto for the acknowledgement. And thank you to everybody out there that supported, not only my little brother, but Alex, the baseball team. Without that, I'm not sure they would have made it to where they got. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
I also want to acknowledge Sean's mother and father in the stand. They're still very active with Eisenhower basketball, even many years after their son has graduated. They still raise money and they're part of the booster club. Let's give a round of applause for Sean Marshall's mom and dad. Congratulations to both of you. Very proud of your son, and he did an outstanding job. But what I have here is these are plaques that will be placed. Actually, each member of the Hall of Fame will get one. I read the inscriptions. All of you have your program, and that's what's actually going to be inscribed. So this is a smaller version of what's going to go up here. Each one of these plaques cost about $2,000, and they're very expensive, but we feel that our people in our community are worth it. This is the same company that makes the Hall of Fame plaques for all the pro and baseball Hall of Famers that actually go in the pro football and baseball Hall of Fame. Same company, but we feel our kids and our families are worth it here in Rialto. They deserve to have something nice. So next, I'd like to bring the entire group of honorees up here to receive their plaque, and let's give all of them a round of applause. Let's get all the honorees up here. Come on, honorees, for a group photo. And parents, Mr. and Mrs. Marshall, come on up.